Good morning, Steve Jolly with Benchmark Realty, and welcome to the Music City Show for this October 8th, 2020. So, today we're going to start a new series on housing myths, and there's an old adage, and so I want to show you how you can use this myth to your advantage. And so, there's an old adage that said you should never you should never buy the first home you look at, or even a home that you see when you first start looking. So that old adage tells people to wait. And so the origins of this adage go back to the time before the MLS. And before the MLS, if you wanted to see all the homes for sale in Nashville, you either had to pick up the newspaper and see what was being advertised, but that's not necessarily all the homes for sale. What you'd really have to do is get in your car and go from brokerage office to brokerage office and take a look at all of their listings. So you have to go to each individual broker to see what was available, to see everything for sale. And so that's kind of where the origin of that comes in. But even when the MLS first came out, and it did here locally, I think in '96, there wasn't a way to get all that information that people were starving for. So even though there was a repository of information and it was starting to become available online, there might have been one picture of the home and a limited amount of details and information about the property. So you still had to go and look at a bunch of homes to really find out what was out there. However, the benefits of this wisdom don't hold up in Nashville in 2020. And so here's why. And here's part of it anyhow. There's two reasons why. One, the amount of information that's available online to the average consumer and through his agents is staggering. So like our MLS now allows you to have up to 50 photos, property photos. You can have drone footage, you can have walkthrough videos, you can have 3D tours, you can have virtual tours, you can have floor plans, tax assessor information, flood maps, surveys, topo maps, property condition reports, pre-inspection reports, all kinds of information available out there for the average consumer before they even step foot in the home. But really, that's still not enough to turn the tide, because people really, for something they want to get their hands around, they want to know everything out there, and they want to really know it to the level of detail. But here's the part that really, with all that information out there, here's the part that really makes you want to reconsider this housing myth. And that's because the number of homes that are available on the market is incredibly low, and the speed at which they're selling is incredibly fast. So by the time you do your homework on a particular property, it could very well be gone. So let's take a look at this in more detail, right? So based on our current inventory and our current level of sales, if no more new homes came on the market today, within 31 days, there would be no homes for sale. The inventory would be completely diminished, down to zero. That's the level of homes we have on the market. So there's about a little over 4,000 homes on the market right now, and about 3,500 are selling a month. In order to get to a balanced market where there wasn't an advantage to the seller or the buyer, it was equally balanced, based on these sales rates, we would need about 8,100 homes more for sale, almost 200% higher than we have today. And so, keeping that in mind, that's why these homes are selling so fast. That's why you still see the prices going up. So what does that mean? And what are the real life implications of following that myth? And here's a few things I want you to think about. So we've worked with 4 buyers this year that had a very limited, they had a very specific requirements for the home that they wanted. And because of that, there was a limited number of homes available on the market. Like when I'm saying limited, I'm saying a handful of available homes for them. And so 2 of those buyers, all 4 of those buyers saw homes within when we first started looking, that checked off 99% of everything that they were looking for in the home. But it was too early in the process for them, so they decided to pass. We had two other buyers that these buyers also found homes that checked in the early on that checked off 99% of what they were looking for. Those two buyers took action and they made purchases of the home, and they're living in the home now, and they're ecstatic and they're excited about it, and they're so happy to be in their new home. The other two, without me even prompting, have expressed regret in them not taking action on those first two homes. So those are the real life implications of it. You see something that you really like and that you've got to have, and it meets 99% of what you're looking for. And especially if you have to move, if you're under a time constraint, you need to act quickly, because that home is not going to be around, and it's with the limited inventory that we have, it's not likely that there's going to be another one coming back on tomorrow. Sure, another one like it will come up soon, but it's going to take some time. It might take a couple months. So think about that old adage in today's economy and in today's market, and use that in your decision-making process so that you can make the best decision for yourself and for your family. Speaking of today's economy, today's market, let's check out the housing update for this week. So we're going to talk about sales first. So sales for the year, we're still on an upward trajectory, up 14.4% over the same week last year. So we had 938 sales on the market. Pretty good week. And for the short term, over the last 4 weeks, it's still heading upwards. So people are still out there taking action and closing on homes. That is the good news, and you'll see that good news throughout this broadcast today. New listings, so new homes hitting in the market at 2.8% over the same week last year. So we had 1,166 new listings and 938 sales. So that's how close we are with homes hitting in the market, homes disappearing. That's why they're moving so quickly. And under the short term, still a slight increase, although we expect homes to be new listings to be decreasing this time of year. They're still climbing, which is a good sign. Some of that might be, a delay from COVID earlier, where they wanted to put their home on the market in the springtime, but they're doing it now. I think, our market this year, which usually starts trending downward, is going to, maybe last another month, maybe all the way through the holidays before it takes a nosedive. And then if the market's still the same way in January, as soon as it starts getting sunny and warm a little bit, I think activity will pick up again like it did the last few years. Showings, just people out there looking at homes, up 23.3% over last year. Almost 10,000 showings last week. That's huge. It's proof of the people out there looking for homes, proof of the demand that's out there. The number of showings is relatively flat. Now, some of that has to do with the inventory. If there's no homes to buy, there's no homes to look at. So I think the showings would be higher if the number of listings on the market was a little bit higher. Homes under contract, up 32% from last year. Lots of people are taking advantage of these ultra low interest rates. If that entices you, if that makes you happy, I would definitely take a look at that also. So we had 1,000 homes go pending this week. And over the short term, it's relatively flat. Once again, if there were more homes out there on the market, I think you'd expect to see more homes going under contract. So what does all this tell you? So if you have a home that you're thinking about selling, you decided not to do it this spring, but you would like to get out of it now and buy your next home while the interest rates are so low, you still have an opportunity to do that. There's still people out there looking. There's still people out there seriously putting homes under contract and closing on those properties. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about selling your home. And over the last 4 weeks, the median sales price inched up a little bit, so we're at $347,994. And total days on the market, that's from the day that you list a home to the day that you close, are 82 days. So less than 3 months from the time that you list, you'll be closed on your property on average here in Nashville. It's a very, very strong market. If you like data and you want to see for yourself what's happening in your neighborhood, go to MusicCityShow.com. You'll see my data dashboard for Nashville. This data comes straight from our MLS. No other broker in Nashville is giving you this level of transparency. No other broker in Nashville is probably looking at the data like this, like I am. So that information I'm making available to you. All these charts are interactive. You can select what time period you want to look at. You can focus down on the county, the city, the zip code that you're looking at to see what's happening in your neck of the woods. It's great information. MusicCityShow.com is where you can find that. So next week we're going to be continuing this series on myths. And there's a myth out there that where people think that's going to save them money, but it's actually costing them more. And so we'll dive into that next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate all my lawyer viewers out there. And peace and love, y'all.